What's up, bros, non-bros, dominoes, my friends, my people, the Shred Nation, hello. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to uncover today as we are still in the throes of some epic volatility in the market and epic range in the market. We ended up having just a monster push in the market today. I mean, we gapped up and we were ready to go. And then, lo and behold, into the close, we rolled over and then we kept rolling into the post hours. And here we are. We have given back all the gains that we had, and so put ourselves back into this range from the previous day. Why is this important? Well, it was important to kind of hold, I think, yesterday's kind of pop. That was really important to kind of close and hold over there and start filling in some of these gaps from the couple days before, because that would have put the bull thrust back on, and it would have made it so that, hey, this big dump in the market was just a deleveraging situation over, right, the yen carry trade and, right, the jobs numbers and, a couple things happening. But this end of day fade and then the subsequent fade that's happening post hours, this puts things back into a little bit more jeopardy, where I don't know if we're getting back into the 425, but, we've got now levels that we're going to have to trade around. And so tomorrow's going to be difficult. Today, up until right noon, it looked like we just had a follow through day. And so what that means is, like, from the low of yesterday, we were just in an uptrend, right? So we were in a 2-day uptrend and we saw it, right? Dips were getting bought and the price action was fantastic. And you saw the leaders acting like leaders. What I mean by leaders is, right, the former leaders. You had Nvidia and all of these moves, like this is what you wanted to see, right? And you saw a huge move in AVGO 140 to 149, and that's what you want to see, guys, from these oversold bounces. There's 128, it goes up to 148, right? 20-point bounce. Like, that's, to me, bottoming type of action, right? That's something that's bullish. But we gave a lot of it back, and so now it puts us back into a little bit of a range. And so tomorrow's going to be a big wild card, and we're going to have to see how this reacts. No longer, today going in our chat room, in my YouTube live in the morning that I was doing, right? I had no shorts. It was all longs, and the whole plan was to long, on dips and things of that nature. And that's what we did in our chat room. And we had some awesome shreds taking Nvidia and some of these names just off the bat, arm off the bat. But now we've got this nasty little reversal candle. And then I think this is the important part, is that, we see now a nasty rollover in SMCI. We spiked up 120 points, guys. And that's no joke right there. And then, kind of just ran into a little bit of supply here. And then, boom, the rug was pulled. And so this tells me, right, that we still have some risk off the table. I mean, they had, in terms of their earnings, if this was, right, 6 months ago, this thing would have popped up 200 points, 300 points, right? And, now we're in that different scenario in the markets where we're getting punished by even earnings beats and stuff like that. So we got a handful of things here. They got a 10-to-1 stock split, so that's going to it's going to make the stock a little bit thicker. And a lot of these splits have not been working very well. The guides and the revenues and all this was, okay. I didn't think that was anything of the nature, but we're just in this market where things are selling off. So with this selling off, it's going to be putting a lot of pressure on, right, your Mag 7 stocks. And so now you saw, man, a big rollover in Nvidia. And, now we've got to be careful. Like, these can start looking like bear flags really quickly. You start to see, some lower lows start to form. All of a sudden, the bounce play can turn into a bear flag very, very quick. So tomorrow, what I need you guys to do is really wait out the open on the big tech stocks, right? Forgo them or wait out the open, let the ranges settle, and let's see where we go, because I don't have an internal bias now that, hey, we're just ramping back. as we had this big fade over. And frankly, we had 2 days of awesome games to the long side anyways. That's okay, right? Sometimes we just cook them and book them and go. So my plan for tomorrow is let's not fool around with Nvidia and AMD and all of this kind of stuff. We'll let the ranges settle, and if they turn into bear flags, then we can shorty McGee. But we have all these earnings plays that we can trade, right? So we have a few that I think are going to be really right up our alley. So let's just take a look. I made a little listy McGee over here, and I think this is going to be some fun, right? So first off the bat, we've got old Airbnb here taking a big nasty blumpkin, right? Big nasty blumpkin. I mean, you can see you're just clearing off all these levels here, and a pretty big range now, 15 points. Like this is going to get Gennard tomorrow. That's probably top of the list. Let's see how this reacts. Like now, when you have an earnings blow up like this, right? You don't just short it at the open. Don't do anything like that, right? Let the range settle in the morning, right? The opening range will be important. So, right, say you open at 108. When the market opens at 9:30, you need minimum 3 sideways candles, and then when you take out the range, you can do an ORB. If you don't have that and you start to pop, right, you wait till you come into this shaded area. We call this the bone zone, and when you get a red candle to hold in there, you can take the short with a stop above that pop and then fizzle that bad boy out. So those are kind of the two aspects that we would want to enter with a gap down short. So just very, very simple. If you do not see either one of those, leave it alone. There's no big deal, right? You just leave it alone and move on to the next one. SMCI, I think we come in hot on this one too. You're going to break this low here, and so you've got a key inflection point. Hopefully in the pre-market, it pops up a little bit, and we start to kind of back and fill some of this area, and then, right, we come back out and take out this range, and we ORB down here. I mean, that's going to give us some sick, good, God-fearing Christian range right there. I mean, that's the devil's juice right there. We got to go and play this thing if it breaks under 525, 530, and it starts to build there. I mean, we're coming in. Hey, sell age, nasty reversal, gapped up here, and then completely reversed. This 39.50 is going to be a big spot. There's a big zone of support here. If it loses this, I think we come in for a short, man. I was trying to fizzle this thing down over here, and man, it was just moving so slow. Fucking covering it, lacking a little bit of patience. This thing has got a bleeder look to it. Any spike up on this tomorrow, let's fade it off. Tesla stuck right under the 200-day moving average. So you got the spike down, then you got to pop up the last couple days, stuck under the 200-day moving average. So if we start to curl this thing back down, then we can short this thing back down this way, and we'll see what's going on. Now, Nvidia, I think, is going to be important tomorrow. It's fading off on the SMCI news. So if SMCI gets smoked out, we want to keep an eye on Nvidia because it might just take the markets down with it. I think it'll be easier for us to trade SMCI, but we can also use this as just a little bit of a mini proxy. I think that's going to be important. Now let's take a look at a couple of these other earnings plays. The Cart Nation, all right? Cart had a big pop, 9% here. It's going to probably have a lot of volume on it. I like this name, and the reason is if you got a stock that beats up on earnings and it's an IPO, it's something new, these things usually have a little bit longer runway to get going. Now look, it's in a congestion zone here, so it needs to kind of clear out some of this, right? It needs to kind of clear out some of this congestion here, but if we can, it's only 151 million share float. I don't see why it can't do that. Canview, never heard of this company, did 45 damn million shares in volume today. Never heard of this company. I've heard of almost everything. I go through so many charts every week. And for some reason, this just never came on my purview. This broke over the 200-day moving average today, had an earnings beat, and it's an IPO too. So I think this one's got some potential for tomorrow. It doesn't have a huge ATR, so just gapped up and sat around. But if you notice here, this kind of 21 zone is going to be important. And so we want to kind of start to push through this level here. Start to push through this level here. And if we do, then we're going to have ourselves a little hootenanny. I think we can keep playing this thing to the up, to the downside. FTNT, and I'm showing you a lot of these earnings places. I think this is going to be our focus tomorrow. If we get on a macro, meaning the index level, some chop or some confusion with this kind of mix in earnings, then, we've got all these earnings plays we can do. Look at this thing. You're clearing out some huge levels on this thing, right? This thing has been coiled up for a while. I think this is probably top of the list for tomorrow too. UPST, right? Look at the base on this thing, right? The bigger the base, the sweeter the juice, right? Yeah. The bigger the base, the sweeter the juice. So we got this big spot right here, right? It's a pretty low flow company. And it's been coiled up. It's left for dead, up 20%. Life is better, guys. Life is better when stocks like UPST, Roblox, Affirm are going, right? It's the CVNAs. It gives you a lot more fun. Like when those things were going, right? Life is good. It's nice when you can just trade something that's like not $500. Let's see. Let's pray for UPST tomorrow and see if we can kind of come out of some of the zone here. I like it. Will it hold? Once again, we are in a period where earnings gappers are fading. And so we got to be mindful of that. We got to keep that into the back of our heads always. CBT, this was an earnings breakout today. I think this has got a nice level on this. A weak open and a takeout of 103.50, I think could set this thing up. And VCYT has earnings out right now too, right? Earnings 114 versus street estimate of 110. You got a spot right here that if it takes out, dude, we can go. On the downside, there's a couple things I want you to keep an eye on. First of all, MU just cannot bounce for some reason. I'm not even gonna talk about this thing and the amount of donations I've done on this thing in the last 2 days, and not big ones like 10 cents here, 15 cents here. I think probably the guys in the chat room are like, hey guys, I'm long in MU, and everybody's like, I cannot get it. I can't quit you. I can't quit you. But it's starting to look like a bear flag. Watch this 85 if we need a short. This one in Dell just looks so cooked. They cannot catch any bounces here at all. And, with the SMCI news, who knows, right? I don't know, SMCI, Dell, they do some kind of something maybe together because they are both reacting in the same manner. And so maybe that's why it was heavy this time. But I think those are the two that, we can roll over if we need. So moral of the story is be careful on the macro. When I say macro, it's the indexes, the big picture stuff. We got all these earnings plays that we can do. We got CART and UPST and, right, some of these other ones, Airbnb. We've got a couple heavy names that we can trade like MU and Dell that will run with SMCI, which we can also trade SMCI too, but it's a little bit of a harder stock to trade due to the spread on it. So, I'd rather trade probably a little bit of offshoot on it. And then just be careful. We don't know if this is a one-off thing or not. It does feel like it's just kind of one of those big deleveraging situations, but, we have this earnings blow-ups today too. Now, look, if the dip gets bought tomorrow in the market, then the bottom is probably in, and, we can just go off to the races. So this is a day trader's market. You may have to change your bias and your whole line of thinking within minutes at some point, but we got to do what we got to do, which is the do. I love you guys. Peace.